There's a reason why even the great Mike Tyson was left in awe after watching Naoya Inoue dismantle elite world-class opponents with frightening ease. Tyson doesn't hand out compliments lightly, and when a man who once terrorized the heavyweight division calls someone special, you better believe there's something unique about them. You don't earn a nickname like the Monster through marketing or media hype. You earn it with performances that transcend the sport. Inoue doesn't just beat his opponents. He dominates them, dissects them, and humiliates them. He is an apex predator in a landscape filled with talented prey, and his evolution from phenom to pound-for-pound titan has been forged in fire, blood, and unrelenting excellence. What makes Inoue terrifying isn't just his knockout power, though his knockouts are vicious. It's the composure, the technique, and the balance between artistry and destruction. He's as comfortable slipping punches in the pocket as he is detonating body shots that collapse even the most resilient opponents. He can go to war or play chess, and he often chooses to do both in the same fight. There's a calm intensity in his eyes, a quiet, almost humble demeanor outside the ring, but once the bell rings, the monster emerges, clinical and merciless. One of the clearest illustrations of Inoue's brilliance came when he faced Stephen Fulton Jr., a fellow unbeaten champion and one of the slickest, most technically gifted fighters in the sport. Fulton was not some overmatched title holder. He was a unified champion, an elite boxer with a resume filled with world-class victories. Many viewed him as the most skilled opponent Inoue had ever faced. This was billed as a true pound-for-pound showdown, a battle between two fighters in their prime, representing two different schools of thought, speed and finesse versus power and precision. From the opening bell, it was evident that this fight wasn't going to be a typical brawl. The first round was measured, filled with feints, jabs, and subtle footwork. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. Fulton tried to keep Inoue at bay with his jab, attempting to set the pace with distance and angles. But Inoue had already begun his calculations. He was studying rhythm, measuring range, and dissecting habits. And by round 2, those calculations were already turning into action. Inoue started to press forward with more authority, inching his way inside without wasting energy. His jab was crisp, his guard tight, and he began to land those thudding shots that made Fulton react more and more defensively. As the fight progressed, it became clear that the momentum had fully shifted. Inoue wasn't just landing shots, he was controlling the geography of the ring, dictating where the exchanges happened and when. Fulton was still trying to box, still trying to maintain his composure, but every time he tried to assert himself, he was met with precise counters. His punches seemed to bounce off Inoue, while Inoue's punches were reverberating through his body like thunderclaps. Inoue would land a jab, then pivot, then land a right hook to the body. He would slip a combination and fire back with a perfectly timed straight right. It was a masterclass, a demonstration of dominance that turned a 50-50 matchup into a one-sided exhibition. By round 5, the writing was on the wall. Fulton was visibly flustered. He had no answers. Every time he tried to close distance, Inoue would beat him to the punch. Every time he tried to circle out, Inoue would cut the ring off. And worst of all, the power was wearing him down. Even the jabs were snapping his head back. Fulton, one of the most defensively sound fighters in the game, looked like he was surviving instead of competing. And then, in round 8, Inoue struck. Like a cobra waiting for the perfect moment, he launched a combination that sent Fulton crashing to the canvas for the first time. The crowd roared as the champion tried to gather himself, but it was already over in spirit. Inoue closed in, sensed the finish, and unleashed a barrage of punches that forced the referee to intervene. It wasn't just a knockout, it was an announcement. Inoue had moved up in weight, challenged the best, and made it look like sparring. But not every fight was a clean, technical breakdown. Against Luis Nery, Inoue faced a different kind of threat, a southpaw with serious power, a willingness to engage, and a chip on his shoulder. Nery wasn't interested in dancing. He wanted war. And from the first round, it was clear that this was going to be a firefight. Unlike most of Inoue's opponents, Nery didn't hesitate. He came forward, traded shots, and stunned the world by landing a flush counter that dropped Inoue to the canvas early in the fight. The crowd gasped. The monster was down. But Inoue, as always, was unshaken. He got up immediately, his face calm, his body language unfazed. The knockdown had not rattled him, it had awakened him. And from that moment on, the tone of the fight changed. Inoue became sharper, more focused. He wasn't angry, he was dangerous. He came into the second round with surgical intentions, and it didn't take long for him to return the favor. A beautiful counter was dropped by Nery, and the war was officially on. Rounds 3 and 4 were chaotic in the best way. Both fighters threw with bad intentions. Inoue's timing and speed gave him the edge, but Nery refused to back down. They exchanged brutal combinations, each trying to impose their will. Inoue even began to taunt, smiling after landing clean shots, daring Nery to throw more. The monster had tasted adversity and responded with defiance. By round 5, Inoue was back in control. His body work began to take its toll. His counters were sharper. Nery, though still game, was beginning to slow. And then came round 6. With his opponent's defenses leaking, Inoue launched a picture-perfect right hand that detonated on Nery's jaw. The Mexican slugger went limp, and the referee immediately waved it off. Inoue had been dropped, tested, and hurt, and still emerged victorious with a knockout that reminded everyone that when you poke the monster, you better be ready to deal with the consequences. Then came the Paul Butler fight. On the surface, it was a mismatch. Butler was a solid fighter, experienced, technical, and disciplined. But he was not on Inoue's level. The crowd knew it. The oddsmakers knew it. Even Butler seemed to know it. From the beginning, his strategy was clear: survive. He moved, he covered up, and he tried to avoid engagements. But you can't avoid Inoue forever. From round 1, Inoue applied pressure. Not reckless pressure, calculated, suffocating pressure. He cut off the ring, forced Butler into corners, and tested his guard with stinging jabs and body shots. Butler moved well early, but Inoue's footwork was a different breed. He didn't chase, he stalked. And every time Butler paused, Inoue pounced. The middle rounds were more of the same. Inoue dominated without taking risks, knowing that the knockout would come. He taunted, smiled, and began to open up with more flair. He threw feints, doubled up on hooks, and invited exchanges. Butler had brief moments of activity, but they were inconsequential. He wasn't fighting to win, he was fighting not to lose. Inoue, growing tired of the evasion, began to increase his output. By round 10, the frustration was palpable, not because he was in danger, but because he wanted a war and wasn't getting one. And then, finally, in round 11, he got what he wanted. He cornered Butler, unleashed a furious barrage, and forced the referee to stop the fight. It wasn't a highlight reel KO, but it was dominance, start to finish. Inoue had unified the division and done so with ease. But perhaps no fight reveals the full dimensions of Inoue's heart, skill, and toughness like his legendary clash with Nonito Donaire. This wasn't just a great fight, it was an epic, a war that will live forever in the annals of boxing history. Donaire, despite being in the twilight of his career, was still a fearsome puncher, and he brought every ounce of his experience and will to the ring. The younger Inoue, confident but respectful, prepared for the toughest test of his life. The opening rounds were explosive. Donaire came out firing, refusing to be intimidated. In round 2, He landed a devastating punch that fractured Inoue's orbital bone, a serious injury that could end a fight or a career. But Inoue didn't retreat. He didn't wilt. He adjusted. He adapted. He kept fighting. For 12 brutal rounds, the two warriors exchanged bombs. Donaire, with his thunderous left hook and veteran guile, tested Inoue like no one ever had. But Inoue responded with equal firepower. He mixed body shots with uppercuts and right hands with jabs, constantly shifting his attack. He was fighting with one eye, but you'd never know it. His accuracy remained, his speed undiminished, and round 11, Inoue landed a left hook to the body that dropped Donaire for the first time. It was a crippling shot, one that sent the Filipino legend to the canvas gasping. Donaire, ever the warrior, beat the count. But it was clear that the fight was slipping away. Inoue pressed forward in the final round, landing clean shots, sealing the decision. When the final bell rang, there was no doubt. Inoue had won, but more importantly, he had proven his greatness. He had faced adversity, taken real damage, and come through stronger. He had beaten a legend in one of the most thrilling fights of the modern era. That night, he wasn't just a monster. He was a champion of character. Oh, where does Naoya Inoue go from here? At just 31 years old, he's already achieved what most fighters dream of. He's won world titles in multiple divisions, unified belts, beaten elite champions, and done it all without controversy. But there's more legacy to build. Bigger names. Bigger challenges. The whispers of featherweight loom, and with them, the potential for blockbuster fights, perhaps against fellow champions or even pound-for-pound elites from other divisions. But whoever stands across from Inoue in the ring knows one thing: they are not just facing a talented boxer. They are facing a force of nature. A man who fights with the precision of a surgeon and the savagery of a lion. A fighter who can absorb pain, adapt in real time, and return fire with twice the venom. He is humble, composed, and gracious until the bell rings. Because once it rings, the monster is unleashed. And when the monster is unleashed, mercy is no longer an option.